back with another monthly book haul. This will be no surprise to any of you who watch my videos regularly, but I acquired quite a number of books this month, so I'm just gonna jump straight into it. So the first place that I bought books this month was actually at my local library. I was there checking out a couple of books, and I noticed that they had a for sale card, and I got 3 books there for only $1 a piece. So the first two books are the first two books in the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella, which includes Confessions of a Shopaholic and Shopaholic Takes Manhattan. And this is a series, it's one of those more, I feel like, guilty pleasure reads, but it is a series that I have been thinking about trying out. I know that Zoe from Read by Zoe really loves Sophie Kinsella, and I thought this might be more of a fun series to kind of dive into at some point. And I mean, they were only $1, so if I end up not liking them, I'll just unhaul them. No harm done. They were $1 a piece, so. And the other book I got from the library, it's another Sophie Kinsella book, but it's standalone, and that is Twentysomething Girl. I believe this has something to do with a 20-something-year-old girl getting visited by a ghost. The idea behind this is the main character, Laura. Yeah, Laura gets visited by the ghost of her great aunt Sadie, and Laura is a 20-something girl, and I guess her great aunt Sadie lived in the 20s, so there are 2 different kinds of 20s girls, and her great aunt Sadie is trying to get her help to find a necklace. Yes, a necklace that she's missing. So it sounds kind of weird, but I've heard good things. Again, I remember Zoe raving about this book among a lot of other Sophie Kinsella books, so again, I just thought it might be a fun adult fiction read to pick up at some point. And then it was my birthday, so obviously I had to go buy some books for my birthday with some of my birthday money, and I got a few that day, one of which was something I was so excited about, and it came out on my birthday and it was just perfect, and that is the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling and illustrated by Jim Kay. I just love the fact that these exist, that these books exist, and they're going to keep existing because these illustrations are beautiful. It's orange naked, which is really cool, and I think the first one was red naked, so I'm wondering if they're going to do some kind of rainbow theme. Then you have the herbology greenhouses, and just so pretty. I just love flipping through and looking at these illustrations, and at some point soon, I don't know if it's going to be the end of this year or sometime around the beginning of next year, I want to give the Harry Potter series another reread, so I'm definitely going to be using the illustrated editions of the first 2 books to reread those. I also picked up A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, which is also illustrated by Jim Kay, and I read this book back in August, and I just absolutely loved it. It's probably one of my favorite books I've ever read, but I had checked it out from the library, so I really needed to own a copy. So I also picked this one up as well. Again, beautiful illustrations throughout the book. I believe the main character is 11 or 12 or something like that, named Connor, and Connor's mom has cancer, and Connor starts having these dreams about a monster who is trying to get him to, I guess, learn his own truth, if that makes sense. It was just a really powerful story, a really beautiful story, and I loved it so much, and if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. It's a really quick read. I think it only took me a few hours to read this, so I definitely recommend this book if you haven't read it already. And then that same day, I also picked up a book that I've had my eye on for a while, but I was kind of waiting for it to come out in paperback, and it finally did, and that book is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This is a book that has been going around BookTube for a while. I've heard really great things about it. I don't know a whole lot about the plot. I kind of want to keep it that way, but I know that it's supposed to be sad. And usually with sad books, I'd rather go into it blind, not knowing a whole lot. So I'm going to kind of keep it that way, but I've heard really good things about this book, and I'm just really looking forward to reading it. And also I think that the cover's really cute because it looks like sticky notes, and it's just really looking forward to reading this book. Next, I have the Grisha Trilogy box set by Leigh Bardugo, which includes Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. Now, I read Shadow and Bone back in September. I actually read the first book, Shadow and Bone, after I read Six of Crows, which Six of Crows was published after the Grisha Trilogy was finished, but I really liked the first book. I didn't look at as much as Six of Crows, but I still am very excited to continue on with the series. I just haven't had time to do that yet but since it came out in the box set, I just thought that was the more convenient way to get the series, because again, I checked out Shadow and Bone at the library and read it that way because I kind of heard some mixed things about this trilogy, but I really enjoyed the first book. So I'm really excited to continue on with the series, and it does take place in the same universe as the Six of Crows duology, and also the box set looks really cool. I love the design on here, and it came with a poster, which is really cool. So really looking forward to finishing up this trilogy, hopefully by the end of the year. Next, I have A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron. Now, this is a book. I didn't really realize it was a book, but I actually saw a movie trailer for an adaptation that's coming out of this book, I believe in January, and it's not very often that a trailer will make me cry, but it made me cry. And so when I found out it was a book, I decided I wanted to get the book first. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and this is kind of about, I think it's the spirit of one dog, but it's about the purpose of this dog, and when he dies, his spirit goes into another dog, and so he kind of keeps going forward and fulfills the purpose of that lifetime. And I just think that this is going to be a really, really heartwarming and beautiful story. I can't wait to read it, even though I know it's going to tear me apart, and I want to read it in time for the movie adaptation to come out, because I'm definitely going to have to go see that. I have a soft spot for dogs, which you probably already know. You hear mine playing in the background of my videos all the time, and my name is Doggone Book Addict for that reason, so I'm really, really looking forward to reading this book. And actually, I think there's a sequel too, which I didn't know, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. The next book I have is The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. Now, I actually already owned this book, but I had a different edition of the first book, and the next two books in the series I had in this edition, so I wanted to get the matching first book, so that way when I eventually do read the other two books, they will all go together. And I found this at a used bookstore, and it's in pretty good shape, so I went ahead and picked it up. I remember I read this book back in 8th grade, and I really, really liked it, and I just haven't continued on with the series yet, but I really want to. I'm probably going to reread this first book before I do that, but I think that these editions are really pretty. They're all really shiny like this, and they're different colors, and they have like this little cutout in the middle, which you have to be careful about with paperbacks because it can rip, but I just think that this is really pretty, and I'm excited to have this matching edition now. At the same used bookstore, I also picked up a couple more Shakespeare plays that I have not read yet, and my personal favorite edition of Shakespeare plays, which is the Folger Shakespeare Library editions, and I got The Taming of the Shrew and Twelfth Night. And particularly The Taming of the Shrew, I've been wanting to read this for a really, really long time, and I just haven't. And I've also heard good things about Twelfth Night. I've read quite a few Shakespeare plays. I really love Shakespeare, but I want to read more of them. And I like these editions because it kind of has it split, where on the left side of the page it'll explain more difficult words and passages, so that way it's easier for you to read and understand, because as much as I love Shakespeare, sometimes he can be kind of difficult to understand. So I really like these editions, and I love that they're all really pretty colors, and so I picked these up as well. And the last book I have to show you is the book that I got in my October Owl Crate, and that is Vasa or Vasa in the Night by Sarah Porter. I'm not sure if it's Vasa or Vasa. This is kind of a retelling of a not super widely known Russian folktale, fairy tale kind of thing. It sounds very Cinderella-esque, but it's not, because it's based off of a Russian folktale. I've not heard a whole lot about this yet, even though I know a lot of people have been getting it, because several subscription boxes had this in their box the past couple of months. But I've heard that it's kind of weird, but not necessarily in a bad way, so I'm kind of gonna go into it knowing that it's very short, so I'm thinking I might try to squeeze it in at the end of this month if I can ever finish the book I'm currently reading. But I'm really looking forward to reading it. I think the cover is beautiful, and if you want to hear more about this and what else I got in my October Owl Crate, I'll leave a link to that video in the description. So those are all the books I got in the month of October. Now, just to warn you, I am probably not going to do a November book haul because I'm kind of putting myself on a book buying ban next month, and here's why. Although you can probably kind of figure out part of the reason why. Not too long ago, I put up a video about my TBR shelves, and as you can see, they're overflowing. I have a lot of books that I need to read, and until I get some of those read, I don't really want to buy a whole lot more. I haven't been able to read a whole lot this month, which you'll find out more about when I post my wrap-up. But also, since it's November, I'm doing NaNoWriMo, which means a lot of the time that I would normally spend reading, I'm going to spend writing instead. So I know I'm also not going to get a whole lot read next month, and so I don't see the point in buying a lot of books. Now, there are a couple of books coming out in November that are some very, very anticipated releases for me, and I know I'm going to get those and probably read them next month. And the books I'm talking about are Gemina, which is the sequel to Illuminae, and Heartless. And so I know I'm going to get those two, but other than that, I'm putting myself on a book buying ban next month, so I'm probably not going to do a November book haul. I'll probably just do a combined November-December book haul at the end of December, which I can't believe I'm saying that December is so close, but it really is. It's weird. So yeah, just to warn you, this will probably be my last book haul for the next couple of months. But yeah, the book buying ban is the thing that needs to happen anyway, because I have a lot of unread books that I need to catch up on before I go and buy more books. Except for those two. I'm definitely going to buy those two. Because, well, for one, I'm going to a Gemina event in Nashville, so obviously I'm going to get the book because the authors are going to be there, but also Heartless. I'm really, really excited to read Heartless by Marissa Meyer. So anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough, and I think my battery's starting to get low, so I'm going to wrap this video up here. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of the books that I hauled today and what you thought about them. Spoiler free, of course, and I will see you guys next time with another video.